xyzcamera.com here at H&B Digital in Midtown Manhattan. Today I'm going to talk about the Olympus E-M10 as an entry-level camera and how it compares to true DSLRs commonly recommended for beginner photographers, like the Canon T5i. Let's check them out. Now, as you can see, even with the barrel extended on the kit lens for the Olympus, it's still smaller and more compact than the Canon. And both have the same construction, generally, for kit cameras. One thing that is different in the construction of the build are the LCD screens. And you can see right here that the Canon has a fully articulating LCD that folds out to the side and then back into the body if you wish. And you can actually close that up so it protects your LCD. On the Olympus, you've got one of these swiveling LCDs that folds down if you want to do waist level shooting, which can actually be fairly useful if you're looking to do street photography or you're looking to take candid shots from the hip. On the top plate, you can see two mode dials, and both of the mode dials for both cameras are fairly similar. With the Canon, and you can see right here, you've got all of your scene settings and presets right there on the top of the dial. So if you don't want to delve through menus to get to modes like portrait and sports and macro, the Canon obviously wins out on this. Now, the E-M10 has plenty of scene modes as well, and art modes. But to actually change those features, you would have to go into the menu. The E-M10 on the top has these two control dials, and they're very useful for people who are used to some immediate control over their aperture and shutter. With the Canon, you've got one control dial, and then you would have to press this button right here, the exposure control, to actually change your aperture. On the top plate of both cameras, you'll also notice video controls. On the Olympus, you'll notice that it's this little button right here, this little red guy, right next to the function 2 button and right next to the shutter release. On the Canon, you have to actually flip your on and off switch all the way up, and then it kicks into video mode. And then you would just press the live view button right here to record. So one added bonus with the dedicated button on the Olympus is that you can record video in almost any mode, including art and scene modes. So if you're already shooting in like a grainy black and white filter and you suddenly decide that you want to capture video, the Olympus may actually be easier to just kick into video right away. As far as ergonomics and handling are concerned, obviously you get this nice thick grip on the Canon. With the Olympus, you don't necessarily have that grip. However, this added thumb rest right here on the back of the camera works pretty well in holding the camera. So you can still hold it one-handed if you wanted to and fire off some shots. Dedicated buttons on the back are fairly similar. The only real difference here is the ISO button on the Canon, which is located at the top right here, right above your mode dial. It's a dedicated ISO button. And on the Olympus, you actually have two customizable function buttons. So the Canon doesn't have any. On the Olympus, you could simply set one of those to change ISO. So you would just hit that function button and then ISO would pop up and you could adjust it however you wanted. Both cameras have a pop-up flash, and they're not as great as flashes go because they are still pop-ups. However, the Canon has a longer range at 13 meters, and that's at ISO 100, whereas the Olympus is kind of stuck at a range of 5.8 meters at ISO 100. So you get a little bit more range with the pop-up flash on the Canon. That being said, when we move to the internal specs of these cameras, the Olympus leans more towards still shooting. The Canon is great for video, and one of the reasons for that being the ability to shift between different video formats in the Canon with relative ease. Whether you want to shoot at higher resolutions, full HD, or if you want to go lower, or if you want to shoot at different frame rates, anywhere around 24, 25, 30, 50, 60. Whereas the Olympus is kind of stuck at 30 frames per second. As far as still shooting, the Canon can shoot 5 frames per second. The Olympus will shoot 8 frames per second. You've also got built-in Wi-Fi on the Olympus for people who want to share images. The setup is as easy as connecting your smartphone to the camera. For those who want to use wireless features in the T5i, you would actually have to purchase an iFi card or a Flash Air card by Toshiba, and then you would actually have to hook that up inside the camera. Right out of the box, you get more connectivity with the Olympus. When we move into autofocusing, there are 81 points of autofocus on the Olympus, as opposed to 9 on the Canon. When we talk about white balance presets, the Olympus E-M10 has 7 presets, whereas the Canon has 6. The Canon also has 1 custom preset, whereas the Olympus has 3 custom presets. So if you're going to fool around with white balance, if you're going to move from one location to the next, if you're not planning on just doing outdoor shooting, or you want to take multiple custom readings for white balance and store them in your camera, the Olympus E-M10 is the way to go again. Another thing to consider is battery life. If you plan on going out for long periods of time and shooting on a single charge, the Canon is going to give you more shots at 440 shots per single charge, whereas the Olympus E-M10 is going to give you around 320 shots per charge. When it comes to shutter speed, both cameras have a max shutter speed of 1/4000th of a second. However, while the Canon can shoot a minimum shutter speed of 30 seconds, the Olympus can do twice that and shoot a minimum shutter speed of 60 seconds. So you could take a 1 minute long exposure with the Olympus. If you were, doing longer exposures, if you were looking for something that could give you that option, the Olympus would be the route to go. Both cameras offer the same options when it comes to exposure compensation. However, if you want to bracket your exposures, you might actually want to go with the Olympus. You can go over or under 5 stops with the brackets, and you can choose between 2, 3, 5, or 7 frames, as opposed to the Canon, where you can go over or under 3 stops and you're limited to 3 frames. As far as special features go, on the Canon, you've got the ability to enter in copyright information if you actually wanted to code that information into your EXIF data. If you were looking to disseminate your work online and you didn't want copyright infringement, that would be an easy mark. With the Olympus, you've got the ease of use of the OI Share app, which is easy to set up. It'll take you 5 minutes. You've also got some interesting features like HDR presets right there inside the camera. You've also got a very interesting multiple exposure mode, which actually overlays the first image that you take while you take your second image for a double exposure. So you actually stack those images. It's very easy to use, and it can kind of be a good start for people who are looking for more creative photography, as opposed to going through Photoshop and doing it that way. One thing to consider with the Canon is that you will be getting a larger sensor. You'll be getting an 18 megapixel APS-C sensor, as opposed to a smaller 16 megapixel micro four thirds sensor in the Olympus body. Now you could do 8x10 prints comfortably on both cameras, but if you're looking for much larger prints, around 24x36, the Canon would be the route to go. Well, guys and girls, there you have it. 2 entry-level cameras, both class leading in their own respects, with the E-M10 an excellent choice for stills, and the T5i a great choice for video or larger prints. If you're interested in seeing one of these cameras or checking out anything else by Olympus or Canon, you can come on down to H&B Digital at 29 West 46th Street in Midtown Manhattan. These guys are just a few blocks away from Times Square off the B, D, F, or M trains. They're great staff. They're always happy to hook you up with whatever you need. You can take whatever you want out of the box, try it out, see for yourself what you like. They're always willing to, give you the best price they possibly can and make sure you leave a happy customer. Anyway, I'm Carol from XYZ, and I'll see you next time.